Greetings, I.A.G farm family. Yeah, I'm full swing into the day today. It's almost the middle of the day. I'm up at the top of the property bush hogging, and I was on the tractor, and I said, let me go down here and grab them, and I grabbed the camera so I can bring them along for this journey because there's something special going on up there. You know, as I was, it's amazing how the Lord can just take regular things and just make them so powerful. You know, because I'm on the tractor up there bush hogging, and something special is going on, and it's really ministering to me and really, giving me a deeper outlook on things. But I'm gonna just stop right there. We're gonna hop in the side by side. I got it here, it's already running. I zoom down here in the side by side. We're gonna hop in there, head on up here. I'm gonna get through bush hogging, then I pick y'all up when I get through bush hogging, and we'll kind of talk about the special thing, in my mind that's going on up here. So y'all just stay tuned for this journey.
Tim wants me to look at the spot where we feed the fish. He hadn't fed the fish today. But yeah, I see them over here waiting to get fed. Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if y'all can see that it's not coming through.
Walk over that way and watch how they follow.
Okay. It's not coming through as well on camera, but let's see if they will follow me. They followed. Yeah, they following me. They follow Tim, but they are following me too. So yeah, it's like a whole school of fish. Let's see. I don't know if y'all can see that, but they are definitely following me. I stopped. They were going this way because I was going this way. I stopped. They came back. I don't know if you can see all those fishies, but they're all following me around because we feed them. They're like pets.
haven't been able to mow that hill in a few years. So it's pretty amazing. Because we used to have a 1980s Ford tractor, and it was a good tractor, you know, it was a good starter tractor for us. But it's nothing like this bad boy with 4-wheel drive. Because I got into a hole. The reason that we struggled to mow that hill is because it's a big hole, and I think y'all saw it on camera. There's a big hole there that you know, like the tractor kind of gets off in and gets in the bind. And I got off in that hole, and I had to throw the tractor in 4-wheel drive, but our other tractor didn't have 4-wheel drive, and so I was able to come out of it. Because I think the last time I mowed that hill was 3 or 4 years ago, and I used that old Ford tractor that we had, and I broke the power because it didn't have power steering, you know, and it had like a little steering, manual steering box, and I broke the steering box, and it just shattered to pieces last time I tried to mow that hill because I ran off in that ditch or that hole. But the beautiful thing about it is this, because I told you all that I was gonna grab you all because I was down here mowing, and I've been working on mowing these fields for the last week or so. I've just been kind of picking, you know, a little acre and a half to mow, and it took me about 3 or 4 days, but I got it all mowed without it taking me, you know, without it wearing me out in one day. Because I used to try to do it all in one day, but now I just broke it up because we're living here. This is our first year, I think, you know, for a full summer living here full time. You know, we've stayed here in campers in the past here and there, but this is our first year full time living here. And I'm excited about it because I get to, you know, use my tractor and bush hog and keep all my grass down, you know, keep all the snakes away so the boys can just have free range and play. But I told you all that there was something special going on. And the special thing is this, because when we first bought this property, before we ever saw it, you all know that we bought this property by faith. Like, we paid $10,000 for this property, and we actually didn't know where it was at. You know, we kind of knew the area of where it was at, but we hadn't seen it. You know, but we knew that it was, you know, around 3-4 acres. It actually ended up being, you know, more than what we thought it was. But we knew that it was around 3 or 4 acres, and we knew that the property was available. You know, we knew how much they wanted for it. But we needed to get a survey done to be able to know exactly where the property was at. And so we had to buy the property without seeing it. And so, you know, me and Megan, we sat down, Megan and I, we talked about it, and we decided, like, hey, let's do it. You know, let's put the bid in, let's buy the property. You know, but at the time, we didn't have the money, you know, to buy the property. You know, we didn't have $10,000 because we paid $8,000, and then we had a survey done, you know, $2,000, so it's $10,000 altogether. But at the time, we didn't have $10,000, you know. And so what happened is that, you know, we put the bid in for the property, and our bid got accepted, you know, and we had to pay the money within, you know, a month or so, like that, or the bid was gonna go to the next person in the bidding process. And you know, the people, they said that there's a lot of people, you know, like coming up behind you that want to buy the property, so, you know, y'all gotta go ahead and pay for it if you want it. Because we were thinking like nobody knows about it, but they were saying that, you know, there's a couple people that were also waiting on it as well. And so, you know, Megan and I, we sat down, we prayed about it. You know, we put the bid in, we didn't have the money, and they said we needed the money within, you know, a month or so. So we sat down, we prayed about it, and one day, Megan came out, and we were still living in the city at the time, and we had ordered, because we were breeding Rottweilers at the time. This is a long story. I got to figure out how many details to give you all, for real, so you can fully understand. But at the time, we were living in the city, and we had a dog, and we had I.A.G kennels. You know, we didn't have I.A.G farms yet because we didn't have any farm property. The Lord hadn't even really given us the farm vision yet, you know, for our ministry. But we had I.A.G kennels where we bred. I was breeding Rottweilers at the time, and I would sell Rottweilers, you know, breed them and things like that. We had a good quality of Rottweiler, a good line. And we also had the vision for selling actual dog kennels, like the kennel that you lock the dog in, the chain link kennel. And we actually, you know, by faith, we jumped out there and bought like 10 kennels. You know, we just bought them, and we had them sitting in our clothing shop. We had a clothing ministry at our city ministry. And we had them sitting in our clothing shop, and it was sitting there for a while. And we had spent all these thousands of dollars, and we invested into those kennels. And we you know, hadn't sold any. And so we put the bid in for the property. You know, we had a month to pay, you know, to be able to get the property, or we were going to lose it. You know, we didn't know where it was at. We had never seen it, so we didn't know, you know, if it was going to be like a waste of money or if it was going to be an amazing blessing. It turned out to be an amazing blessing. But anyway, so Megan came out there, you know, one day, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to get this money to pay for this property that we didn't have. And she came out there, and I was putting together those dog kennels. And she was like, "What you doing?" And I actually think I was getting ready to go outside and put the dog kennels together. And Megan looked at me, and she was like, "What you doing?" And I said, "I'm going ahead and make $10,000. For real. And it seemed crazy at the time because all of our neighbors, you know, they would see me out there in the yard putting together dog kennels. And, you know, I had about, I think I started putting together one. And I put that one together. And that night, you know, just by faith, a guy called and he was like, because I think I advertised on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, or maybe Craigslist or something like that. And a guy called that night, you know, and said, can I get a dog kennel? And I just so happened, you know, they had put one together that day. And so I sold him that one. And then he was so impressed by that one dog kennel. He said, can I get two more? For real. And that's how I started. And some type of way, you know, not some type of way, the Holy Spirit led it. Like Jesus led it. Like, we sold so many dog kennels. And we still have people to this day calling us, wanting to buy dog kennels. And, you know, we sold out of what we had. We bought more. I don't know how many dog kennels we sold, but that was the way the Lord, you know, part of the way, you know, because it was some other things that happened as well. But that was part of the way, you know, because he tested our faith and he saw, you know, that we were serious about what we were praying for, you know. But that was part of the way that we were actually able to buy this property in cash, debt free. And the thing is, this is the real, like, meat of the story right here, is that we hadn't seen the property, but the Lord gave me a dream, you know. And in that dream, I was bush hogging, you know, and I was bush hogging on this big acreage property. And in the dream, my dad was showing my physical father, you know, was showing me, that's the picture the Lord gave me in the dream, was the face of my physical father. And my physical, like my biological father, was showing me how to bush hog on a hill. And I'm telling you, in that dream, because we hadn't seen the property yet. Remember that. We hadn't seen it. I hadn't set foot on it. Hadn't seen any pictures of it. Didn't know what type of condition it was in. You know, we didn't know if it was just trash, or we didn't know if it was the greatest property in the world. But by faith, we were willing to put down that money and buy it. And like I said, we ended up making the money by selling dog kennels and doing some other things, and we were able to pay for it in cash. But we hadn't seen the property yet. But in the dream, the Lord showed me bush hogging a hill right in front of a pond. And I'm telling you, when I first stepped on the property, because I walked on the property over here, and when I first stepped on, I stood on this hill right here that y'all just saw me bush hogging. And when I stood on this hill, I could see the pond, and it was fall time, so I could see the rest of the property. I could see all the way back to the back. And it's like exactly what I saw with my physical eyes is what I saw in that dream. And it was just amazing, you know, because in the dream, it was my physical father. And the Lord used that to give me a picture of my heavenly father, or God, showing me how to bush hog. Because bush hogging this hill is one of the biggest challenges to like bush hogging on this whole property, because there's a big hump, you know, a big hole right in the middle of it. And my heavenly father in that dream was showing me how to bush hog it. And as soon as I stepped on the property, it was confirmation that we were in the right place, because what I saw in that dream, it was prophecy. For real. Because before we ever saw the property, I saw it in a dream, and my heavenly father was teaching me how to bush hog it. It's amazing. First walked on the property, this is where I stood right here, and I walked from that way, and I looked out, and I could see exactly what I saw in my dream was a hill right next to a pond, and just beautiful potential. For real. And now that the property may look like it, you might not be able to see all the way through there and everything. You know, you might be able to see the beauty all the way through, or you might be able to see like a blank canvas. I don't know. You might see a lot of work that need to be done. But when we first got the property, it was just full of trees and grown up grass, and just it was neglected, you know. But we came in over the years and we cleaned it up, you know. And even though it was neglected, it was full of trees and just overgrown bushes and briars and things, we saw the potential that it had, and we put action to our faith, you know. Because at first we bought this property by faith, but at that point when we bought it, and then we were actually standing on it, it was no longer faith. and we had to put action. Like we had to replace that faith of just believing God can give it to us. He's gonna give it to us. He's gonna provide a way. To now we're here, and now we have to crank up our chainsaws. We have to, because at the time, it's so many stories in this, man. Because at the time, I was working like 3 jobs. You know, because somebody may watch our videos now and be like, he don't work, he don't do this, he don't do that, he just around the farm making YouTube videos. For real. But at the time, I was working 3 jobs. You know, I worked 1 job as my full-time job. I was cutting hair because I'm a licensed, well, I was a licensed barber. I didn't renew my license. I just didn't feel led to. But I'm a licensed barber. So I was cutting hair, and I was also cutting grass on the side, you know, just to make a little bit of side money, you know, to bring into the family, into the ministry and things. And with that, just with the 1 side job that we did, that I was doing over the summer, I just did it like 3-4 months, you know, just cutting some extra yards on the side. With that 1 job, I was able to buy a van, and because Megan needed a minivan, you know, because we were having more kids, you know, and all we had was a small little Honda Civic, I believe it was, and it wasn't big enough to, you know, hold our whole family, because our family was beginning to grow. You know, we had been married about 3 or 4 years at that time, and so, you know, I knew we needed a minivan, but we didn't want to go into debt to get a minivan. And so I worked that summer, you know, on the side, the 3rd job now. For real. I was working like, and that's not even counting ministry. You know, I was working a full-time job, 2 part-time jobs, and leading a ministry and pastoring the ministry. You know, and I was volunteer pastoring, because I didn't take my salary. I always gave it back to the ministry. But anyway, so over that summer, I worked, made a couple $1,000s, and bought Megan a minivan. And that minivan, you know, like I said, at the time, you know, we were just going around the city, but the minivan started to have some, you know, problems, you know, with I don't know if it was the motor or something like that. And I ended up finding a guy. At that time, we had just bought this property and things, and I ended up finding a guy that, you know, had an old tractor, that old Ford tractor I was telling you about. That was actually the first one, because that was the second one I was just telling you about earlier. But this was the first one that I bought, and he had that tractor, and I ended up trading him that minivan that had some engine problems. You know, he knew it had engine problems. He was gonna fix it. He was a mechanic, and I ended up trading him that minivan for that old tractor. You know, hopefully I can find some pictures and put it in here. And that was our first tractor, and that's the tractor that we used to clear these fields. You know, this section over here behind me that you can see over here is like it was full of trees and bushes and briars. And I remember the day that we were out here clearing it, it started raining, pouring down raining. And we were out here with our 2 kids. You know, we didn't have a camper, we didn't have power, we didn't have water, anything out here. It was just raw land. And we were out here with our 2 kids in packing place. And it started pouring down raining. And so Megan had to run and get the kids put up and get the packing place put up. And she had glasses at that time. And her glasses got so wet from the rain that they literally changed colors. For real. They changed colors. And she was those glasses were never the same. The rain just poured down and poured down, and we were soaking wet. By the time we got the tractor loaded up, the packing plays, the kids loaded up, we were soaking wet. But that tractor that I was telling you about, that first tractor that I worked hard that 1 summer for, ended up being what we used to clear this property and clean this property up. So man, it's just so many amazing stories that I can tell about this property, because, you know, the thing is, anybody, because I'm not special, I'm definitely not. You all know my story and the history, you know, where I come from. You know, incarcerated, age of 17, spent 6 years, 8 months in prison, didn't have any education, man, just had nothing going for myself other than I knew Jesus, and I fell in love with Jesus, and I figured out that he loved me, and I started devoting my life to him. And so that's what put me in position, because a lot of times you may be wondering, like, if I do a video saying how much money we make, or some of the things the Lord is doing to bless us, and I may only use those physical things as a way to get to the conversation, to talk about, like, this is the reason, this is how we got here. And some of you all may want to hear more about the money, or more about the land, or more about how we got the land. It's like, and our answer is this: we got the land by faith. We in any physical provisions like money, or mobile homes, or tractors, or side-by-sides, or land, anything like that, we got those things by obedience. Like, that's, you know, we bought this property by faith. Like, that's real. That's not something that we're making up to try to, like, hide something from you. No, we bought this property by faith. We bought it without seeing it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we bought the property by faith. We obeyed the Lord when it was time to put those dog kennels together. Like, we were obedient. You know, we put action to our faith. And that's how we were able to pay cash, stay out of debt to buy this land. Our first tractor, you know, I worked with my hands. You know, the Lord said, let him who stole steal no more. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 28. He said, let him who stole steal no more, but rather let him work with his hands so he can have something to give to those who have need. And at that time, my wife was the one in need. And I needed to work with my hands to be able to provide that minivan for her when she needed it, you know, and not have to go to MasterCard or, you know, some type of loan bank, you know, to get that loan for that minivan when she needed it. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm gonna just walk y'all around and kind of show y'all some of the fields that I've been cutting and mowing, and then I end today's video. Just let y'all see the beauty of this property.
Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.
All right, y'all, so I'm gonna just walk you around real quick before I end the video. This is let's widen y'all out. This is that hill we just mowed right here, up above the pond. And it's looking good. Walk you down this way. Because a lot of times y'all don't get a chance to see the top of the property, because most of what we do goes on back at the back of the property. As you can see way down the big long driveway. There's Emma back there. So yeah, most of what we do goes on back there. That's why all the animals and the pens and everything are. But yeah, up here in the front is a section that, you know, we just kind of pass by a lot of times, and we're still praying about what to do up here. We eventually want to fence these pastures off up here, but for right now we're just trying to keep them mowed and kind of clear them a little bit. They're not too overgrown because like I said, when we first bought the property, let me just kind of talk you through, because I may be able to go through and find old pictures. But when we first bought the property, we were trying to figure out where the driveway would go, because the property line is not far past the pond over there. And then down there, that's where our secondary pond is at. And so me and Megan and I, we looked at this section right here, which was completely overgrown. There was this big old red oak tree that had fell over this little section right here, because it wasn't a driveway at first. We put this driveway in, you know, we started it. And so it was a big old oak tree that had fell there with a bunch of briars. Like literally, the briars started probably about right here where I'm standing, and they went all the way down to about where that those H braces are right there. And so you couldn't walk through there. Like it was impossible. You know, you couldn't even get through there. But I just got the chainsaw and started cutting down the briars, and we didn't even know it was a big old oak tree down there until we cut down all those briars and everything, because at the time we didn't have a tractor. But yeah, I just got in there with the chainsaw and started clearing it out, and then we decided that's where the driveway should go. But yeah, it was the same way over here as well. It was all growed up in between these trees. You really couldn't even see these big oak trees here. But we got in, and at that point we got that old Ford 600 tractor, that first one, that red one that I showed y'all. But yeah, we got that and started pushing stuff down in here. And so we started getting this little pasture section down here cleared. And then we started clearing through here. We need to clear a little bit more. Still a couple cedar trees and a couple sweet gums. But yeah, we started clearing down off in here. We just worked our way in, because like I said, all of this, you couldn't walk through here. For real. It was all overgrown. And so we got in here and just started pushing stuff down. We had that tractor and a box blade, and we used that tractor and box blade like it was a bulldozer. And we got in here, like I said, you couldn't even see through here. You couldn't even think about walking through there. For real, because you couldn't see your feet, you know, and the briars were too thick to be able to walk through. But we got in and just started pushing this stuff down and clearing it out, and we eventually got it to the point where we can see through and get through here. That's what we call Turtle Creek. That's like our secondary pond, like the overflow. That's where it goes to. And eventually we're gonna come in and dig this out. We just need to dig it out on this side and just kind of let it hold a little bit more water. You know, mainly, not even just to make another pond, but mainly for the water drainage. Because I'll show you where the water goes. And there's a big old culvert. Let's see, I'll walk over here and show you. But most of the water comes up under the road. I wouldn't be surprised if we stumble across a water moccasin or some type of snake, because they're definitely out. They've been staying out of the way so far, and so we hadn't really really seen any snakes this year. I think Megan and them saw one so far, a black racer, non-poisonous. Let's see if I can show you this culvert. It goes up under the road. Let's see. Yeah, so you can see right there, there's a culvert. Yeah, I see it now. Off in there's a culvert that comes under the road, and a lot of water comes through that culvert because it comes off the hill from all the properties on the other side of the road, and then it comes down through here. And as it's coming down through here, it eventually crosses this fence line and then comes over into our property once it gets down off in this section down here. And I'll walk you down here so you can see. Yeah, you can see all the pastures that I've gotten mowed over the last week or so. What I've been doing is I've been working on the camper during the day, and then around about 3 o'clock I kind of shut down on the camper and come out here and start mowing fields. Eventually I'm gonna get a zero turn because I have a little, steering wheel, put lawnmower, but eventually I'm gonna get a zero turn and start mowing some of these fields with a lawnmower and keep them down. But for right now, I just mow them with the tractor, and I bush hog does pretty good. There you can see Turtle Creek from another angle, and the water starts to cross over about right in here, and then it goes. You can almost see how the ground is shaped, but it goes off into Turtle Creek, and then once that fills up, then it overflows over into this ditch that we just dug, and it goes down there through that culvert, and y'all have seen that culvert on previous videos. And then it goes down there and it turns that way, and there's a creek right there in that brush right there, and then it goes on off the property that way. So most of the water comes in through that culvert there, comes down through here, fills up this secondary pond here, comes on down through here through a ditch, catches this ditch that we just dug, and it goes through that culvert, which needs to be bigger. And I'm gonna have 2 culverts. I'm gonna have a culvert here, a big one, and then a big one down there to kind of get that water some relief. But for right now, I had a small one, and I got a little ditch dug there. Yeah, the water goes through there and then cuts on through there, and it kind of flows through here, through this little pasture here. And yeah, so eventually we're gonna get all this water off these pastures and get it in ditches, and we'll get all these pastures fenced off so that we can get animals in here, get some ruminants going, more sustainability. And you can see that we have our H braces set up here because we'll be stretching fence probably next week, getting these pastures here. I got about 3 acres that we're gonna fence off in this section. You can see I got my H braces. So I'm excited to get this pasture fenced off because this pasture actually used to flood, but we mounded up the driveway. And when we mounded up the driveway, it kept the water out of this pasture. And so it forces the water to go down that ditch and then cross over and go into the creek over there. So let's walk through this pasture, let y'all see. Like I said, I know a lot of times y'all don't get a chance to see these angles. We rarely are up here. I think we were up here one time getting that power pole out of the ground, but other than that, unless you're an oldie, for real, if you're a newbie, you probably had never seen these pastures down here. We actually used to have a 5th wheel camper that we had parked right there because we had a power pole, and we had that 5th wheel camper plugged up to the power pole, and we lived down here. It came down here and did different things. We didn't live down here full time, but we came down and got projects done. We had so much going on in the city during that season that we really couldn't stay down here too long. We had to just come down for the weekends and just camp out for the weekends and then go back to the city because we had Sunday ministries and ministry on Saturday and Thursday, so we really couldn't stay more than like one night and one day and get things done. But yeah, here's the creek. I'm guaranteed to run across a snake down here. So I'm not gonna go too deep off in here. But here's the creek. Sound like I just heard one. But here's the creek here. And this is where the water flows through it. And then it goes on out the property over there. I have to wait until deep off in the summer to be able to mow back off in here because it stays kind of wet. But yeah, that's that section. And then through there is where you see the pigs are at. And then that's another pasture there. So all of this is gonna be fenced off within the next week or so. And we have all this grass here that'll be available for our sheep. And our plan is, I've been talking to a guy, he's gonna have a bunch of sheep available come June. And we'll probably purchase, I don't know, we might purchase everything he got, everything he has to sell, and go ahead and get about 15, 20 sheep on pasture, but you know, we'll pray about it and make sure that we don't get in over our heads. Make sure that the beasts of the field don't become too numerous for us, as the Bible says. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I say, y'all have seen most of the back of the property back here by where the mobile home where Emma is at. So y'all see that on most of the videos. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you got this pasture over here that I got mowed. Got this section over here mowed. Then you got the section back there where the pigs are crossing over the creek. Got that mowed. And then we just got up here at the top of the property on this hill that the Lord showed me in a dream. We got that mowed, so it's a blessing. All right, y'all, I think that's enough for today's video. I'm getting kind of tired. It's about time me to go down here and eat lunch. It's more like dinner. But I think that's gonna be it for today's video. We'll just see y'all on the next one. It's I.A.G Farms. It's all about God.
Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete.